It's 10 still in Oslo, and that's going to make the going pretty hard over the next 15 kilometers or so. The humidity nice and high, so the technicians have had their work cut out this morning, but for a change they've only got 30 skis to wax between them, or 60 skis, two each.
Well, yeah, absolutely, at least. And of course the athletes carrying about 20 pairs of skis each, and to suit these conditions a couple of skis would work. Look at the total climb here today. It's 535 meters in total, one of the hardest mass start courses that we have in the calendar. And
critically, Mike, most of the climbing comes as soon as you've shot. The approach to the range is one of the easiest, on the other hand.
It really is. Of course, you have the hill within a minute of the descent prior to the range, but I agree, it is one of the easiest.
Well, here's the start list for today's mass start, the third mass start of the season. And, well, I wonder whether anyone can beat Arndt Pfeiffer, who's looked very, very good in the mass start so far this season, as has Birnbacher, who's won both of them, in fact. Mesetic, Tim Burke in there. He'll be delighted to have got a start. Lau Bailey racing for the USA as well. The King in good company up on the balcony. Doesn't look the most comfortable balcony to watch the races, but he's nearly always in attendance and really enjoys the climax to the cross-country season as well. The Holmenkollen 50, of course, one of the highlights in this stadium. Svendsen back in yellow.
Well, that must build his confidence back. Svendsen's done well here the last couple of days with his drop in form in Antholt, so he really is back, and he loves the mass start races.
Number 2, Martin Fourcade, will be hoping to get the yellow bib back again. Incidentally, 500 euros go to the man who wears the yellow and the red bib. So if you're wearing the red and the yellow, you get 1,000 every time you race. That's not bad before you've even taken a stride. But they certainly deserve it by the time they cross the line. Simon Fourcade, he was reported to be ill at the beginning of the week, but showing no signs of that at the moment. He looks on fantastic form. So welcome to Oslo, the last race of this, the 7th round of the Biathlon World Cups. And this is the one that the fans have been waiting for. Norway haven't had much success so far this weekend. Is this going to be the race when it turns around? Benny Vega still on the front row, although his position in the World Cup is dropping slowly. Mikael Schlesinger, a disaster on his home track in Novo Mesto, but everything came good in Antolts and Antaselva. And Anton Chapulin, he was tired last week, needed some time off. He's taken it, and he's back in action today. I wonder whether he's going to have the spark to win this one.
Well, you would expect it, wouldn't you? But he's missed out on the shooting experience on this range, as all the others have.
Svendsen, a little bit too eager to get away, chancing his arm, as always. And as a result, he finds himself in a bad position, Mike, because he was going backwards when they pulled the trigger.
Well, I watched the last mass start in Antholz, and I think the starter should have pulled him back. He definitely had a slight gain out of the stadium. So, well, it's caught up on him this time.
Fast and furious over the first 200 meters. Remember, it's a 15,000 meter race, 15 Ks to race. So each lap, 3 kilometers. And an advantage certainly being up in that front group. The yellow bib belonging to Svendsen. Birnbacher there wearing bib number 3.
Now I think Pfeiffer had his ski pole pulled out of his hand. I think it was Pfeiffer.
Well, let's have a look at the start. Is that Florian Graf, who's had a few troubles? We'll pick up on all the names and the faces later on. Good crowd turning up for today's race. The wind has built in strength. The light's still very flat. I know it looks good on your screens, but it's flat and it's dull. But the wind certainly could play a part in this race. Shooting in the women's race wasn't bad. They had 2 clear shots.
Look at this traffic jam already. It's slightly different if we compare it to the women's race. It's very aggressive, it's very tight pack here. Everybody wanting to move forward.
But also the men at the top of the scene aren't quite as far ahead as the women are at the top of the women's game. And so anyone who tries to get away will easily be tracked. And I think because of that, they don't really want to try it. Number 7, that's Tarjei Bo, and Bjorndalen wearing 14. 12 just behind him is Florian Graf, recovered. 22 from United States, Tim Burke. And both Tim and Lowell Bailey having good seasons, but I wonder whether Tim will be spurred on by the fact that Andrea Henkel took the win earlier on.
Well, I think it does connect if your partner has had the success, and Henkel, she's been on the edge of having that success for some time now. She's put that together, and well, Tim shot brilliantly yesterday, hitting 20 out of 20. Can he do it 2 days in a row? It's statistically, it's not always that common. Well, the pace went fast for the first minute 10 seconds, then it calmed down a little, and it really has calmed down again. On this 3 kilometre loop, they'll go round 5 times. One little aspect which has changed, Patrick, slightly is the strength of the wind. I was just looking there, it's allegedly picked up to 5 kilometres per hour. If it has, that will affect the fall of the shots from when they zeroed half an hour ago. Look at the intensity, spinning around the left-hander, then another steep climb.
Steady pace so far, and I hope this is an indication that Tarjei Bo is back on form. Number 2, Martin Fourcade, just adjusting the strap on his pole. There's Carl-Johan Bergman going through, just ahead of Schlesinger from the Czech Republic. Schlesinger still the best of the Czechs on the tour. Sukup doing a lot better. So through 1.4. Nothing between the leaders. I think you'll gain more from looking at those at the back to see any big names that have dropped away. Birnbacher 4.6 behind, nothing to worry about there. Birnbacher's been very confident in this format, and he's only 68 points off the World Cup leader, so maybe he's the man who's going to come through and grab the crystal globe at the end of the season. It's certainly possible. He's been very consistent.
Yeah, consistency, and the trouble with the mass starts, and look at the intensity. You're continually under so much pressure on the range. Well, Birnbacher, as you said earlier, he's managed to do it twice this season, and if he can do it twice, why can't he do it a third time? So a chance now for some recovery, but it's not much of a recovery. Maybe the longest recovery, about 35 seconds. Well, it goes flat here, which is quite easy, and then it drops down even lower. Tarjei Bo, although he's leading it, it hasn't gone well here in the previous 2 races here this time round. 28th in the sprint, and then he moved up to 20th in the pursuit race, but he's not shooting that well. 1:0.11 yesterday.
Carl-Johan Bergman having the same sort of problem. He went from 26th to 19th. Both of those two looking tired. It's been a bit of an up and down season for Tarjei Bo. He's still shown moments of brilliance, but he's not had the sort of fitness that he had last year. And a lot of questions over whether he raced too much last year, did too much as a 21-year-old, winning the overall World Cup. He had to dig so deep in the last third of the season last year to hold off Svendsen.
He did. And you mentioned the last third of the season, but last year also they were pushing so hard, and that's what I think tipped Bjorndalen over the edge in the last racing season. He was trying to stay with these 2 young Norwegians who were pushing each other to the limit.
Now, what is Bjorndalen going to shoot today? He missed 4 yesterday, 1 on each shoot, and he is skiing fast enough. For the first time this year, he's skiing fast enough, and he looks fit enough to really win one of these races, but he knows that he needs to shoot 90 or 95% at the worst. 20 out of 20 would serve him well. Svendsen still tucking in, no need to work too hard on this first loop. There goes Birnbacher, sitting back in around 6th, 7th place at the moment. The pace starting to pick up. 3 Frenchmen in the leading 4, and no surprise to see Burf up there, who's been going much better this week, and of course the 2 Fourcade brothers. Anton Chapulin back on the tracks, And for the sake of Elena, who always gets annoyed that we don't mention that Anton Shipulin is the brother of Anastasia Kuzmina, who raced early on today. So here we go, chute number 1. They take the lane that corresponds with their bib number, so Martin Fourcade will be in lane 2. And lucky 7 for Tadia Bull. Svendsen, little slow to settle. We should see those further down the range shooting first. First shot goes wide for Shipulin. Simon Fourcade is rattling through his targets, but he misses number 4. Martin takes his time on the last one, but makes sure of it. No need for Svendsen to panic at the moment. Much more important to clear the targets, and he's done just that.
Oh, Florian Graf, he came in hard. He's missed 3. The worst shot so far in the prone.
Well, it is a flat light, Mike. It hasn't really changed since the 0, but a little bit harder to get a clear image of the target in the sights.
Ever so slightly, and there was a slight wind influence there as well, but the majority, well, we'll get a reading on that soon, the majority, I would say we'll get at least 50% hitting 5 out of 5. In fact, 16 of the best have hit 5 out of 5 in the prone.
Welcome back to Oslo. Still the early stages of the men's mass start. The first shoot is completed. The 2 Fourcade brothers have looked pretty good so far. And number 10, that is Anton Shipulin. I thought, we'll just check on that. I thought Shipulin had missed a target on his first shoot. He has. Shipulin has missed a target. He's down in 21st position, just behind Simon Fourcade. So it's Martin Fourcade who leads. Svendsen looking good and strong. He'll be happy with his position at the moment in second. And then just behind him, we've got Birnbacher, Vega, Goranichev is up there. Malishko going well for Russia. And then Jean-Philippe Legelik of Canada, who was so good in the Olympics back in 2010.
Yeah, he's having a good start, and of course just brought into this mass start at the last minute almost. Just looking at Bjorn Darlin, he's missed 1 again out of the first 5. He's just not comfortable at the moment on his rifle. Maybe he's got the worst out of the way, and if he can hit the next 15, he could still place himself up there in the top 3.
Dynamic dancing stride from Martin Fourcade. He's feeling fantastic. And it has to be said, Mike, he's had about 3 peaks this season already. A couple of World Cups where he's faded a little, but he's looking as good as he did in Östersund at the beginning of the year.
I think Martin Fourcade is one of the most exciting. Yeah, he has flair, he takes chances, but it doesn't always work out, but he's willing to take the chances. And often if you take the risk on the range, you suffer, but he still tries, he goes for it, he shoots fast.
Now, in sporting terms, certainly alpine versus cross-country. The alpine skiers are meant to be the guys with all the personality, and the cross-country skiers are meant to be the introverts. What about the biathletes? Where do they slot into the equation?
Do you know, it's a funny old blend, because if you're too introvert and serious about this, you get tied up in overthinking, over-trying with your shooting. So it's midpoint, maybe a little bit of flair, a little bit of character. Certainly Svendsen and Terje Bo have plenty of that.
Yeah, of the Fourcade brothers, it's Martin who has he's the relaxed attitude. He likes the odd joke. Very, very casual. He does what he needs to do, and he does it very well, obviously. But he's much more relaxed than his brother Simon, who just works so hard and wants it so badly. And I think Simon is starting to learn from Martin that you can't afford to use too much energy on that.
Yeah, it's fairly true. I mean, they're all very serious athletes at the end of the day to go through 1,200 hours at least of physical training, and then you've got your shooting and stretching on top of that. It's a huge task.
Now, Fourcade was comfortably ahead at the top of the last hill. On the downhill, Svendsen has closed the gap fairly easily. That may happen, that may change as the race goes on. And I think everyone very, very surprised to see what a difference it makes to change your skis halfway through a race. Not going to make too much difference on a 15K, but on the 20K, Mike, if you're allowed to change your skis after the first 2 shoots, how many would?
I think a good number would. We saw that in cross-country racing. You get the opportunity to put a cleanly prepared set of skis on. It makes a difference. Maybe up to 7-8 seconds a lap here over 3 kilometres.
Well, maybe that's something that should be introduced into biathlon, because I do remember in the 50 kilometre at the cross-country world championships on these tracks in Oslo, that was the key point of the 50k. Wouldn't they change each time they came round? And of course, would they make a mess of it and lose 5 or 10 valuable seconds?
It certainly made, I think it would need to be a longer distance, and of course we don't have anything greater than the 20k in the biathlon field. Maybe one day they'll introduce a 30 kilometre biathlon.
Well, there are certainly conditions at the end of the season when the snow is a little bit dirtier that a new pair of skis would do you no harm at all. Now let's concentrate on the positions. Martin Fourcade leading from Svendsen, the 2 top men in the world this year, going head to head yet again, and that's going to be a really interesting battle as the race goes on. Further down the order, we'll pick up on some of those who've made mistakes. Carl-Johan Bergman missing for Sweden. The worst on that first shoot was Florian Graf of Germany with 3 misses. He's pretty much out of it. I'm not sure he'll even complete the race after a disastrous start like that. Anton Chapulin missing. Michael Schlesinger missed 1 for the Czech Republic. Oleina Bjorndalen missed 1. And Jakob Fak, who did so well in the pursuit, early stages of the pursuit yesterday, he also missed 1.
Just noticing Bjorndalen went out of the range 22 seconds behind. He's lost 9 seconds to the checkpoint on the hill prior to the range.
So from that you can deduce that either of these two shoot 15 out of 15 from now, Bjorndalen will not catch them. Svendsen, well, he hardly looks as though he's broken sweat at this stage. 6 kilometres skied already, another 9 to go. Who will strike first? It should be Fourcade. Both men taking plenty of time. Well, they let the rounds go at exactly the same time. And Martin Fourcade.
Look at the wind from the left. It's certainly, certainly affecting them.
A chance for Goranichev now. Goranichev getting his first ever World Cup win. And look at that, he's gone clear, along with Birnbacher, who's the master of the mass start so far this year. Malishko goes 5 with 5. Legelik of Canada is in the best position he's been all season with a clear shoot. And Volkov goes clear. So does Oleina Bjorndalen at last. He's hit 5 with 5, and he's back in the race.
That's going to be a great feeling for Bjorndalen. Surely he can get some of that old confidence back now. Certainly won't be in the top 5 as he exits the range, but he's going to be up there. Svendsen, 1 penalty loop, and he's only 13 seconds behind.
He was some 10 seconds clear of the pack going into that last shoot. So I guess with Fourcade making mistakes as well, he's reaped the benefits of working hard on the second loop. What it will cost him later on, we'll have to wait and see. Good crowd here for the men's mass start. A stadium that's designed, redesigned, rebuilt, redesigned. It goes on, ever changing, but it is one of the world's best. Well, those who were leading have now got a little bit of chasing to do. Perhaps both Svendsen and Martin Fourcade making mistakes on their pacing early on. 14 is Bjorndalen, as I'm sure you know. And number 23, that's Alexei Volkov, who's had an excellent start. Most men in that leading group have still gone clear. Svendsen is the fastest of those who's missed a target so far, with Ustigov not far behind. He missed 1 on the first shoot, and he's made up for that. Oleina Bjorndalen obviously missing 1 on the first shoot. Now, this is a sudden change. The wind has picked up. Most of that is snow that's being blown off the trees, but that does not help the race leader, Mike. At the moment, you want to be tucked in behind someone who's about 6'8".
Well, you do. Goranichev is one of the smaller athletes in this field of 30, and I'll tell you what, he has landed. He hasn't had many international races, Goranichev, certainly at World Cup level, and he's getting better and better all the time. His rifle is very old, it's very simple. It's the Russian make, it's the Nishmarsh. And that's built in the Kalashnikov factory, not in terms of the best barrels in the world, not up there with the German make, the Anschutz.
And if that's the case, why do they use them?
Well, probably he's just recently been introduced to the team, so he probably hasn't, well, let's say, earned it yet, or seen the finances worthwhile when he is still making them hit the targets with ease. They are good rifles.
And there might be a cost factor in there. If you want to set yourself up with a pair of race skis, you're looking at anything between 250 and 300 pounds. Your poles aren't going to come in much cheaper than 200 pounds, but it's the rifle that costs you most of the money. Bought
one in for the club up in Aviemore in August, 2,650 pounds. Ridiculous, 3,000 euros.
Pocket money.
But yeah. they last a long time. Some of the rifles the lads in this race are using are certainly over 10 years old for some of the the more veteran of the biathletes in this field.
And then you have to feed it with a 2.2 ammunition, and that's not cheap either. So it's not the cheapest game on the circuit.
It's not. Birnbacher, as usual in these mass starts, he raises his game for them. He's hit 10 out of 10, but the pack are chasing.
What I like about Birnbacher, Mike, is he seems to have the mental strength to be able to ski his own race. He doesn't get too wrapped up in what's going on around him. You saw Milishko there fighting for position, wanting to get through into second place. You have to be patient in this game. Save as much energy as you can for that last loop, and if possible, get it so you can slow down before the final shoot, because as we've seen time and time again, if you hit 5 on the last shoot, you really do have a chance. If you can't hit 5, I don't think anyone's won missing on the last shoot. Very, very seldom this season.
I think very seldom. And Martin Fourcade, we saw him coming in fast, pushing the pace. He went 0, then 2, and it really has put him back. He's still 40.5 seconds behind.
Well, a top 5, I think, still on the cards for Martin Fourcade, because his standing shooting's been excellent. Arndt Pfeiffer was the man who looked to be shooting so well in the pursuit, and he's not racing today, suffering the same as Magdalena Neuner. And that often happens, doesn't it, Mike? When you have brilliant form, the very next day you go down. And sometimes when you have a cold, your best form comes the day before it develops.
It's so strange. And maybe, we haven't got the full story, but maybes with Neuner and Pfeiffer doing so well, they could be, if you keep racing, keep pushing it, you then pick up a negative experience. Maybe they want to keep them both high for the World Championships.
I can't see Pfeiffer saying, no. Yeah, I'll sit it out. If he was on his good form and he was still 100%, he'd be here today. I have no doubt about that. Garanichev it is leading. Is he going to get his second win in 4 days? He won on Thursday, his first ever World Cup. And here he is showing the confidence of someone who's been on the tour for 15 years. Birnbacher second, Milishko third. Tim Burke looking to produce the best American result of the season. But the Americans, if they've got a weakness at the moment, it is the standing shooting. And Tim has so often been in this position before.
He has. I really hope he can hold it together. He is world class, and Lowell Bailey is in there as well. In fact, he's in 15th, only 29 seconds behind. Again, they're having a great day, the American team.
Legelic of Canada, don't forget, still up in the top 5 or 6. He's battling it out with Svendsen at the moment, having shot 10 out of 10. And Garanichev has opened up a gap of some 60 meters, so he's going to have the firing point to himself for about, what, 7-8 seconds, maybe a fraction more than that. I just get a horrible feeling, Mike, that as he's about to pull the trigger for the first time, he's going to get company, and it can often distract other athletes.
Interesting. I've been so impressed with Garanichev this last 4 days, as you say, 3 days of racing. He's focused, he's strong in his own mind. He didn't perform quite as well in the standing yesterday. He shot 0-0-1-1. And that was at the greatest tension as well. He came in alongside Pfeiffer both times.
So shoot number 3, first in the standing position. Garanichev, to me, does look as though he's been working very, very hard. You'll be able to judge from the position. Good long look down the range. Those ice-cold Siberian eyes trying to zero in on the target.
Oh, he saw him throw his head back. He cannot believe he let that one go at the wrong time. Birnbacher will pounce.
Svendsen clean at the moment, 4 out of 4. Birnbacher, 4 out of 4 as well. Svendsen delays on the last and he misses. Malishko's gone clear. Birnbacher looking to make it 3 mass start wins out of 3. Tim Burke, he's thrown it away yet again in the standing position. Work needed there. Bjorndalen maybe working too hard. 4 misses, and he's going to have to wait for his first win this season, if it comes at all. Remember, 16 seasons he has won a race. He's yet to do it this season.
Vega missed his last shot. Bjorndalen, he missed 4 there. He just came in so hard, shot so fast, and by the time he knew what was happening, he had 4 penalties.
Bergman under pressure, and he cracks. 3 misses. Burke has missed just 1, and we're waiting for Martin Fourcade to see if he's making any ground or whether he's just eased off trying to save energy for the next round of the World Cup in Kontiolahti, not far from the Russian border, but in Finland. Another area where it's bitterly cold. I bet it's around -25 there this week. So there are the top positions. Birnbacher with a 0.4 of a second lead over Malishko. Granichev only 9 seconds behind despite missing on that third shoot. Fak is there again. So often this season he's been up in the top 5. I really hope he can get himself on the podium today. He needs it. Slovenia need it.
They do. He was 4th in Oberhof. He'll be hoping, yeah, for that 3rd, 2nd or 1st today. It's not impossible.
Andreas Birnbacher leading the way here in Oslo. He already has 3 wins under his belt this season. He's lying in 3rd in the World Cup standings, but only 68 points behind Emil Hegle Svendsen of Norway. And if Birnbacher wins this, he really will do some damage. Not perhaps to Svendsen, who's still well positioned in 4th after 3 shoots, but to Martin Fourcade, who's down in 8th position at the moment, and will only pick up some 34 points for 8th position, as opposed to the 60 that you get for a win. I do wish they'd adopt the Alpine style. 100 points is much easier to add up.
It would make the maths easier. No, I mean, 100 points, I suppose they look upon biathlon as it can be more fickle with the shooting. You have a bad day, you can be punished.
Well, in biathlon, the way they adopt the scoring system, it favours those who race consistently. Those who get in the top 5 day after day after day are going to do far better than someone who gets maybe 2 wins in the season but then drops down to 15th, 20th.
It does. Yes, it maybe keeps it more fair to keep it at 60 points. Just looking there, without a doubt, Birnbacher skis much faster than Malishko, who's leading, and it's giving a chance here for Granichev to pull back up into the top 3, giving himself that chance for a victory again.
Now, will Granichev be tempted to go past when he catches them, which we're assuming he's going to do? I would suggest that would be a bad idea. He wants to get his breath back, because the way Birnbacher's skiing, hitting 5 targets is just going to be a matter of course. He's so relaxed on the skis at the moment, and his stand on that first stand looks so steady, so solid.
He's a man that looks like he can get all 20 out of 20. In fact, there's only 2 of them who can now, and it's Malishko and Birnbacher. What they don't know, or maybe they do, is that Svendsen is on a mission, and we should see Svendsen there he is. It was 22 seconds. Surely it's going to be down to 10 now. Svendsen realizing that he has to haul this group of 3 in if he's going to stand a chance of winning. He's down to 8.1 seconds. What a machine Svendsen is. And this climb out of the stadium, continual for about 1.4 kilometers up to this high point. Fak hasn't been able to stay close to Svendsen, and he was only 4 seconds behind him when he left the shooting range. This looks like Legelic. There he is, bib 30, just got pulled into the race because Pfeiffer was unable to start, and doing so well. Legelic in 6th.
Nice to see Legelic's back on some sort of form. 11th, that is Lowell Bailey from the United States, and Tim Burke, Mike, missing 2 on that last shoot. He came out of the range in 12th position. I wonder whether he's made up any spaces over the last few meters. I think he's still down in 12th, actually, not far behind his teammate.
In fact, he's pulled back 6 seconds off the lead time, but we know the lead time being led there by Malishko isn't overly fast. It's allowing the rest to pull back time.
This strikes me as a tactical move from the 3 leaders. They know that their best chance of winning is to clear the 5 targets on the last shoot, something we discussed a little earlier on. And if it lets the others close the gap a little, it doesn't matter, provided they come out 5-10 seconds clear.
Well, when you look at the lead group here of 5, it's should Svendsen miss, he could pull back the full penalty loop, which is about 22-23 seconds today. Now Birnbacher's beginning to pick it up. He's realizing Svendsen's in the mix.
Well, I think Svendsen's worked so hard on this lap that he'd need to be within 10 seconds of Birnbacher to stand a chance of winning this one. And Birnbacher certainly has been saving himself. I wonder whether he's going to fight for that lane number 1. You can see less risk of getting distracted.
He just looks so together. In fact, Birnbacher, for me, doesn't look like he's going into full power. Svendsen, without a doubt, is going full power.
Yeah, so where's your money? Svendsen, you've got to bear in mind, has worked very hard to get back in touch. He's done that, but now has he got time to recover?
Oh, he's amazing.
Russia, Germany or Norway?
Well, I'll go for Germany. And I think that Garanishev is going to shoot well also. But Birnbacher, for me, just looks so complete today. But Svendsen, he will line up and he'll let them go so fast, so you never know. He might just get this quick breather of a recovery and machine gun the rapid fire the shots down. That'll be a strategy. And
there is only a gap of 18 seconds back to 5th place, where we have a battle going on between Fakler, Gelik, Ustigov, Martin Fourcade, Tim Burke, Lowell Bailey, both from USA, and Alexei Volkov. So should these 4 all make mistakes, it is quite possible that someone can come through from the second group. Remember, this is the last shoot, the 4th of 4. It's in the standing position again, but it's by far and away the hardest shoot of the race. The pressure is on, the legs are tired, and the targets haven't got any bigger.
Well, Svendsen, he stood up early there. He's just getting maximum breathing and recovery. Surely you don't want cold fingers now.
Well, at least that was his left hand. If it was his right hand and the trigger finger, you would have been a little bit concerned. Garanishev, a good long stare down the range area. First to strike, gets a little bit of a psychological advantage. It goes to Garanishev. Svendsen's the quicker skier when they're fresh. Garanishev 1 to go. Svendsen 1 to go. Down it goes. Well, 2 of the 4 clear. Birnbacher is one of them, as Mike predicted. Garanishev throws his 20th shot wide, and that's cost him a shot at his 2nd victory in succession. But we have a race on, and a chance for the Norwegians to claim their first victory this week in Oslo. Or will Andy Birnbacher deny them? He is the man who is fresher, having gone a little bit slower on that penultimate lap.
What a race, beyond belief. And Birnbacher looking in control as he left the range, but he's got Svendsen behind him. He didn't know who was coming out with him, but when he looked and saw Svendsen, I'm sure he'd be slightly disappointed.
Svendsen has had a 3rd in the sprint. He rose to 2nd in the pursuit. Is he going to complete his set of medals today and get the gold in this mass start? Birnbacher, well, he knows how to win these mass starts. He had a good sprint with Bjorndalen in Hogfilsen much earlier in the season.
And so he did. And look at Martin Fourcade. He shot so fast. He's picked up no penalties last time in. He has a chance of closing down. Oh, it's a big task, but maybe 4th or even 3rd.
14 seconds to gain on Malishko for Martin Fourcade to limit the damage. 3 of the top 3 of the best in the world are in the top 5 at the moment. No surprise on the face of Andreas Birnbacher when he sees the 5th target fall. And now it is all a question of skiing tactics employed here. Who will try and go early, if anyone? Because I don't think Andy Birnbacher, he may have outsprinted Ole Einar Bjorndalen. It's a different job trying to outsprint Svendsen.
What do you do if you're Birnbacher when you know that Svendsen has got the best kick, the best final 500 in the whole field, I think, of biathlon? What do? You'd want to try and break him on the tracks, but that's not easy.
Svendsen, of course, coming through in the latter stages of the pursuit yesterday. Out sprinting Garanichev yesterday without too much difficulty, it has to be said. In the space of 50 metres, he'd got 20 metres clear. And I think Birnbacher will have seen that on the replay last night. He'll know what he's trying to contend with. Maybe Birnbacher's best chance is to go on the big climb around Gratisbakken, as it's known.
But for any other athlete, he might break him. But who can break Svendsen when this is Oslo? And your name is Svendsen. It's not going to be easy, but you just sense that Birnbacher has been holding something back to get his full 20 hits out of 20. He's the only man to do it.
Well, while we've got a quiet moment, maybe we should mention some of the other big names that have not really performed today. Disappointing day for Anton Shapulin. He's down in 17th, having missed 3. Bjorn Dahlen, 5 misses in all, 4 of them coming on the first of the standing shoots. And then guess what? He hits 5 out of 5 on the second stand. So maybe pushing too hard on that third lap. Simon Fourcade, well, he started well, but he's missed 1 on each of the standing shoots. He's dropped down into 15th position. The Americans, we've seen them once or twice today. Bailey is down in 14. Tim Burt recovered after that bad first stand shoot. He's got himself back into the top 10, and he could finish in the top 10. What's that, the 4th, 5th time he's done that this season?
It's great biathlon. When you're up there in the top 10 in fields like this, it's outstanding biathlon.
Overall, the shooting scores?
Well, the shooting scores, only one man shot clear. Mentioned that's Birnbacher. We've got Svendsen 2, Garanichev 2, and only one person, that's Malishko, who's in 4th place. He's only missed 1 target, 0-0-0-1. I'll tell you what, Garanishev's going to have to, it's just psychological. Both times he missed the last shot in the standing. That surely can be fixed. Yeah, once it's happened 2 or 3 times, then it will become a problem, but he needs to put it right as soon as he can. Birnbacher has an unenviable task here, trying to shake off Svendsen, who's so confident in his sprint that he'll just sit behind the German all the way to the finish line if needs be. But with 5 metres to go, he'll nip round the outside. I think he'll go on that last little climb once they're down into the stadium, that climb up to the plateau that leads behind the range area. That's what he did yesterday to beat Garanichev. I think he'll have the same plan today, but Birnbacher will know about it. Birnbacher fully aware. Egil Hjelland, the women's head coach there, and Michael Lofgren both just watching the big screen. What's happening out in the track? Martin Fourcade, sorry, I thought he would close this down, but he's exhausted from doing all the penalty loops. Yeah, Fourcade 37 seconds behind when we last saw him. He's closed that a little, but I'm not sure he's going to get himself up into 4th, which would be very valuable indeed. Lindstrom I've just seen go through, Mike, a man who won earlier, got his first win in Antolz ever. He was on brilliant form, and then he went down with a bug. 4 misses from Lindstrom today. He's 2 minutes 48 behind, so nowhere near the form we saw from him in the South Tyrol. I wonder whether that was just a flash in his career. I hope he regains that form, particularly for the World Championships, because Sweden need him to be on his best. They do indeed. Simon Fourcade, well, he missed 3 today. He's in 15th at the moment. Volkov only missing 2, and in 13th position after the range. Well, the Russian duel seems to have been sorted, with Garanichev pulling a long way clear of Dmitry Malishko. Malishko needs to keep his spirits up, because otherwise he's going to be eaten up by Martin Fourcade, who's looking for every World Cup point he can get. No races deducted at the end of the season. Usually, Mike, 3 races taken away at the end of a 26-race season, which allows you either to miss a World Cup or you can be ill. What's your feeling? I quite honestly, it's such a long season. I think it would be fair to say drop 2, certainly 1 race, because yeah, you have a bad day. Your health isn't always going to be good over a 4.5-month period, so it does make it quite tough. You have to be at the races to win it. I think that was underlined with Neuner's absence today in the women's event. Fritz Fischer, 4 times Olympic gold medalist in the relay, and always there he is on the right side, running alongside, telling Birnbacher, hold it, hold the line, stay with it. But you just feel that Svendsen's just having a cruise. Well, Birnbacher is running out of time because they're coming down towards the stadium.
And less than 2 minutes to go now to decide the third mass start of the season and the last of the races here in Oslo. It might not be the typical Oslo sunshine that we've got used to over the years, but it doesn't matter. The atmosphere has been warmed by the action in this men's mass start. Birnbacher, he looks once, he looks twice, just to check that Garanichev isn't closing. He'll be happy that he's far enough ahead of the Russian, but I wonder whether that's a sign of weakness, saying, I know I'm not going to be Svendsen.
Well, Svensson's a showman. He loves being the centre of attention, and he's just going to leave this surely till it matters most to impress the crowds.
Svendsen moves to the left, which means he's prepared to go the long way round up the climb, and here it comes. 55 metres of climb. It's a steep climb, but still Birnbacher holds his line and holds his position. Now Svendsen puts in an injection, and he gets him just before the corner, cuts down the distance, and he makes a devastating break over the next 100 metres. And then Svendsen at some stage will glance over his shoulder just to check he's got the better of the German, and Birnbacher has given up. There's the look, and Svendsen now knows he can enjoy the last 200 metres and bring Norway their first win here in the Holmenkollen Stadium.
Do you know, that was a turn of pace that might even have matched Northug at his best. Well, maybe not, but it was an impressive turn of pace.
Fantastic, great tactics. It was always going to happen. It worked yesterday, so why change the plan? It's worked today. Third on Thursday, second on Saturday, first and top dog today. Well done to Emil Hegle Svendsen. He extends his lead at the top of the World Cup standings. Birnbacher 6.3 behind, but what a record he's got in the mass starts. 2 wins, 1 second. Surely that crystal globe is going his way if he can produce anything near his best in rope holding at the World Championship mass start. Garanichev, a good weekend, a weekend he will never ever forget, however long his career goes on.
Absolutely, 3 days, 3 podiums for Garanichev, his first podiums. And he just lost it, 17 seconds in the end. That last shot mattered so much.
Malishko down in 4. Fourcade, who started the last lap 31 seconds behind, loses another 6 seconds, had to settle for 5th position today. And just to give you some idea what's going to happen in the World Cup, well, they were only separated by 1 point, Svendsen and Fourcade, at the start of today. And I think Martin Fourcade picking up 40 points, so he loses 20 points, so 21 points now separating the top 2 men. Nothing when you consider that we still have Kontiolahti and Khanty-Mansijsk and all the World Championship races, which count for the World Cup points as well. Green of Canada, brilliant. The Canadians and the Americans have impressed here in Oslo. I hope they keep it going right the way through to the 18th of March, which is the date for the last race of the season. Benny Vega, Mike, 11th place. We've come to expect things from him, and I'm pretty impressed that he's managed to get himself back up into the top 15.
He's done well. His journey in mass starts, 30th, 28th, 25th, 11th, and today 11th again. He's equalled his best. Well done to him.
Volkov 13, just ahead of Lowell Bailey, and sprinting for Russia to claim the last place in the top 15. It's Anton Shipulin, nowhere near his best, but Shipulin, who came to our notice in the Junior World Championships where he dominated year after year, is finally starting to show that he's a real contender for overall World Cup glory. Not this season, perhaps not next, but in 2 or 3 years' time. And watch out for him in Sochi.
Oh, I think so. The Russians, they're building confidence. Their shooting is good. Their pacing is good. Their equipment is good. The technicians, they now have the best. Bjorn Dahlen, though, he'll do the maths, Patrick. He's missed 5. 1-0-4-0. His pacing is good. His ski speed is back.
He just needs a little bit of confidence. 1 win might create an avalanche of other wins. Hallenbatter, 25. And the French shooting today. Alexis Boeuf missing 4 in all, 1 on each shoot, 303. So a mixed bag of results for Alexis. He's shown huge potential here, but can't quite complete the run. A bit like Tim Burke, just 1 bad shoot for Burke today, and that ruined his chances of getting on the podium. But it will happen one day soon. Lindström, well, having won 2 weeks ago, he has to settle for 27th place today. Again, it's the shooting that's let him down. When he was on his best ski form, he could hardly miss a target, but 4 misses in all, so 4 penalty loops. That's 600 meters extra skied. Well, at least he's beaten Rune Bradsveen. Marcus Vindish still out on the tracks. Vindish struggling a bit. 6 misses in all, 3 of them coming in the prone position. The race winner, well, he's fully recovered. And Emil Hegle Svendsen enjoying the fact that he's extended his lead in the World Cup standings. Good weekend, Mike. What do we got to look forward to in Finland?
Well, Finland, I think we'll see less of a field heading over there, closing in on the world champs. But once again, the sprint and the pursuit.
Of course, the last selections for the World Championships will be made in Kontiolahti, so lots at stake. Thanks for your company. There you see the next coming up is Val di Fiemme, ski jumping with David Goldstrom. That's all from Oslo. We'll